Hello, good evening, friends. Today we are going to discuss about cloud computing. Okay, in everywhere in IT sector and everywhere we are speaking about cloud computing, and that word mainly comes cloud work infrastructure. Everything is discussing. So the word is coming in latest technology. This cloud computing, cloud computing. So first of all, what is a cloud computing? That computing that computing in the sense we are giving some power, for example resource at the customer location rather than physically. Okay, the cloud computing can be defined as a delivering a computing of power like a CPU, RAM, network speed, storage, OS, software. So a lot of services we are providing in cloud or the network rather than physically. For example, I am having on laptop. So in the laptop there is only 2 GB RAM on and 100 GB hard disk only. So where I have to store more number of data, so we can prefer to go to the cloud. Okay, for storage purpose we are having a cloud available, and for computing power we are having cloud, and then software installation, everything is comes under the cloud. Is the only that rather than the physically, everything is in on cloud. Okay, so today I am going to discuss about a few topics of the cloud computing. So what is the type of clouds and cloud computing service and cloud computing architecture. See why the name came for cloud, why all the uh, persons are saying cloud. The term cloud came from the network designer or engineer to represent the location of the various networks, devices and interconnections. That shape of the network designs was like a cloud. See in this diagram, service provider and one server, after that one cloud. The cloud only the three pieces are accessing the cloud, after that end user. So this is in this pic itself, some interface is there in cloud, giving service to the cloud and accessing the service from the end user. So this is intermediate. So why the name came as cloud? So cloud that was used by a network engineer represent the location of the various network devices, and then we called as a cloud. Why cloud computing? See why cloud computing? For example, with the increase of computer and mobile users, data storage has become a priority in all the fields. So, for example, small scale business or a large scale business, they spend a huge amount of money to maintain this data. It requires a strong IT support and a storage hub. Not alone business, in IT sector also the infrastructure and backup support service from them cloud computing. So that's why the cloud computing is a very cheaper solution. The efficiency in storing data, computation, and less maintenance cost. So that's why we are using cloud computing. Actually, cloud computing decreases the hardware and software demand from the users, and the only thing that user must be able to run this cloud computing system interface software, which can be simple as a web browser, and cloud network takes care of the rest. So we all have experienced cloud computing at some instant of time. Some of the popular cloud services we have used, but still we are using mail service like a Gmail, Google Drive, and Hotmail, Yahoo. So a lot of mail server is there. So this playing is a major role in cloud. Why we are saying my email service, our data is stored on cloud server, not on the computer. The technology infrastructure behind the cloud is invisible. Every ID sector, the cloud is invisible only. Most probably this technology user friendly and functional only. The individual can use to connect the cloud system from their own device like a desktop, a laptop, or mobile. The cloud computing harnesses a small business effectively having a limited resource only. It gives a small business access to technology that previously were out of the reach. Cloud computing helps small business to convert the maintenance cost into. So everywhere we are using. So that is why the cloud computing we need. This is the thing. Next, benefits of cloud computing. Basically, what are the benefits? It's cost, based on the cost. In IT sectors, the huge infrastructure needed, around 200 laptops, 200 computer systems, and networks, everything needed. A huge number of systems and storing power is needed. so this should be used lower IT infrastructure and improved performance using a cloud. We get the benefit improved performance, and we are accessing anywhere in the data wherever you are going to work. For nowadays in lockdown, so every IT people are working in home itself. How it's possible means it's based on the cloud computing. And then fewer maintenance issues, because in cloud everything it should be appended, and we can access only, so there is no issues with coming, because everything is comes under the networks. So the web browsers only the network is playing a major role in the cloud computing. And immediately instant software updates also, and improve the compatibility between operating system. For example, I'm using Mac OS, my friend is using Linux, another friend is using Windows. They're different platforms, but we are accessing same software in the different platforms, so it should be compatible with the in cloud computing. And backup and recovery, suppose my system is crashed, my data where in everything in the cloud, we can retrieve the data. And the performance level is really good, and scalability also is very nice performance in the cloud. Very speed, active, interactive, and the chatting performance everywhere is performance scalability. And an increased storage capacity, and increased data safety also. See, some cloud computing companies are providing a very good security data safety. So these are the benefits of the cloud computing. Okay. So next we are going to see types of clouds. Okay, there are 4 types of clouds. First is the private cloud, and the community cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud. See, private cloud, it's a cloud where the computing resources are deployed for one particular organization. Actually, this method is more used for intra-business interactions, where the computing resource can be governed, owned, and operated by the same organization. For example, my college is also using on cloud sector. So everything is accessed by the faculty and students, everything inside the organization. The cloud only accessed by the private people. No other people will access, only that inside the private people only can access. For example, my college. For community cloud, here the computing resources about a community and organization. So community based means that we are the same like as a private only. That the community, why the word it comes here means for regional. My college is having different sectors like Delhi, Bombay, different branches. So we are using different cloud we are accessing. So we call as a community cloud. And then public cloud, everyone knows that it should be a government organization, and for example eSeva is there, it's also one of the public domain. Public cloud will be there. So because everyone, B2C means what the business to consumer type interactions, so everything should be getting an immediate response. So this is a public cloud. And hybrid cloud, this type of cloud can be used for both type of business to business, business to consumer. This deployment is hybrid cloud as a computer are bound to the different clouds. Different means, for example, one can access Linux server cloud, and one can access the Ubuntu. So different types of platforms we can access in different types of clouds we are using. So this should be a hybrid cloud. And final, we are going to discuss about the cloud computing service. There are 3 major services in cloud computing services. One is a software as a service, SaaS, and PaaS, and IaaS, like this, a software as a service, platform as a service. So 3 cloud computing services is the for SaaS. SaaS as a service as a digital software distribution model, in which applications are hosted by the vendor or service provider and made available to the customer over the network. Actually, the web service as a SaaS or web service through the internet, this service is available to the user anywhere in the world. So traditionally, software application need to be purchased and upfront, then installed into computer. But in SaaS, you don't need to install anything. Everywhere you get it in that software subscription, basically. Anyone who needs an access a particular piece of software can be subscribed as well, whether it is one or 2 or people or thousands of people corporations in India. The SaaS is compatible with all internet enabled devices. Many important tasks like accounting, sales, invoicing, planning, all can be performed by using SaaS. So SaaS is a very important thing in cloud computing. So SaaS is one of the software as a service. Next, PaaS. It's a platform as a service. is what is the platform environment. Actually, platform is its environment to all the developers to build application. So this service is very important. This service is very important. For example, I am preparing on image editing, Photoshop I am using. So every time I am going to install my PowerPoint and they say Photoshop and we can use it. So this is a just for understanding simple term. I am telling the painting a picture where you are provided with the paint, color, different brushes, papers, sculpting. Just to draw a beautiful picture using the tools. The platform as a service of the tools. So software developer or web developer, it can be benefit from the past. It provides a platform to support application development. It includes management servicing, storage, networking, deploying, testing, collaborating, hosting, and maintaining application in different platforms. It should be in a platform as a service. Next, IaaS. It's IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Is one of the fundamental service of the cloud computing alongside a PaaS. Actually, it provides access to computing resource virtualization environment. Actually, if you heard the word virtualization, the virtualization means word it's exact thing. It should be invisible. Okay, so it provides computing infrastructure like a virtual server space and network connection, bandwidth, load balance, and IP address. The hardware resource is extracted from the multiple servers. For example, I am having only 100 GB hard disk only, but in cloud there are 2000 GB hard disk also there, and everywhere is there. So it should be the hardware resource extracted from the multiple servers and networks usually distributed across the numerous data centers. So in infrastructure we playing other data centers, and this provides the redundancy and reliability of the IaaS, the infrastructure as a service. For example, we can take one vehicle by car, put it everything inside and traveling. So like this is a complete package. I'm going to drop in the particular situation location, and I'm providing some services. This is an example for infrastructure as a service. So this is a lot of money spent in maintenance and buying new components like hard drives and network connections, etc. So which is a business owner could have saved for the other expenses using IaaS infrastructure. Basically, in infrastructure, if you have suppose I'm going to start on a company, I'm going to buy on land, and I'm going to build, and after that I make it ready for the office infrastructure. It should be huge amount. So huge amount we have to spend. So it's nothing that not like that. So if you are using IaaS infrastructure, it's a complete package for computing. For example, I'm having I'm in home, I have to work with particular infrastructure manner. I need to buy this infrastructure as a service. It's a complete package for computing. So that's the infrastructure as a service. And then it's a cloud computing architecture. It's a final topic of cloud computing architecture. Actually, in cloud computing, it's two components we have there. One is a front end and another one is a back end. The front end consists of the client part of the cloud computing. It comprises the interfaces and applications that are required to access the cloud computing platforms. While back end refers to the cloud itself, it comprises the resource that are required for cloud computing services. It consists of virtual machines and servers, data storage, and security mechanism. It is under provider's control in the back end. Actually, cloud computing distributes a file system that spreads over multiple hard disk and machines. The data is never stored in one place, and in case one unit fails, another will take over automatically. The user disk space is allocated on distributed space. While another important component is an algorithm for resource allocation, cloud computing is a strong distributing environment, and it heavily depends upon a strong algorithm. So this is a diagram we are mentioning is a web browser and internet. This is the front end. The user can be, and back end it's a server and web application server the back end. So we can this is the architecture for cloud computing. Yes. Thank you for this.